Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining the Dr. Ira Show again here on I Worship 96. As you all know, this month we are focusing on the fathers and moving forward with fatherhood. And this morning's guest is someone that I have seen grow over the years to a phenomenal husband, father, and entrepreneur. George Dobbins, he's a 14-year owner of CrossFit Dover, former strength coach for semi-pro hockey team, state weightlifting record holder, owner of your own day coaching, specializing working with men and fathers, husband to Brooke and father to 8-year-old Bingham Dobbins. So, without any delay this morning, I Worship 96 family, please help me welcome world renowned weightlifter, entrepreneur, Mr. George Dobbins. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. All right. Thank you so much for that very generous welcome and introduction.
It really is true. You're a phenomenal person. So I know we always start off with a biography or something of the sort of who the person is, but I always like to ask this question: Who is George Dobbins?
Man, I am the son of the Most High. So that's
Mhm.
first and foremost. My 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 walk in my faith is certainly number one for me, and it is a huge priority in my life and something that I'm able to share with my family and those that are within my circle and those that I have the opportunity to encounter. So certainly, son of the Most High. George is a uh, is a husband. I'm a father, um, and from there, I like to consider myself someone that's impactful, somebody that's can help move the needle forward for those that are looking for help, looking for direction.
Wow, that was awesome. Just a testament to who you are. Um, I have a few questions for you this morning. What is one of the most important characteristics to have as a father? And this is all about your perception. This is not a right or wrong or what the world says, but you're a father. What is and you're a son. So, what is one of the most important characteristics to have as a father?
Wow. So, man, the first thing that comes to my mind is your ability to be empathetic to your child, right? So the ideal is, man, for example, my little guy is 8,
Hmm.
and for him, not being able to have a few extra minutes at camp today almost seems like the end of the world for him, right? And to me, it's very much, hey, it's only 5 more minutes, but for him, that's very
Hmm.
that that 5 minutes is very precious, right? It's valued a lot higher. So for me to be able to be empathetic to his feelings, and yeah, so that would definitely that's the first thing that comes to my mind.
How about your drive? You're an entrepreneur. You've achieved some awards and and I'm sure you didn't start there. Can you attribute fatherhood or seeing a strong role model in your pursuit and being a married man with a wonderful husband and a child that I'm hearing you say, really understanding your child. Where how can you attribute a strong male lead in your pursuit of your dreams and what you've accomplished thus far?
Yeah. So if I'm understanding where you're coming from, my role as father and how that relates to my business
Mhm.
or so ultimately the ideal is, if I'm leading in a capacity that is that is out of love, right? So I lead my child, my little guy Bingham, as his father, with love, and ultimately that transfers into how I'm able to lead just my business and my drive like in my business.
Mhm.
Ultimately, my ability. So I'm in a service-based industry, right? So my ability to be empathetic in that role
Mhm.
is very, I wouldn't say it's at the same level as, me as father, but at the same time understanding what, where people are coming from, within their goals, what they're looking to achieve, and where is their pain point,
Mhm.
you know what what are they currently experiencing, and why are they sitting or standing or inside of my facility looking for direction, looking for help? So being empathetic in that manner very much correlates to the same type of empathy as father. So when you talk about my ability to drive as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
the thought is, man, I really can't be empathetic to the situation if love is absent, right? So um,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, that's definitely the approach that really drives me.
Awesome. Awesome. What has been your greatest challenge as a father, or not just as a father, as a father figure? Like you said, you're in the service industry. I know that there's someone, some young boy, some young um, Z generation that looks up to you, that says, I want to be like you.
Mm.
What has been your greatest challenge, not just as a father, but as a father figure?
Yeah, so my greatest challenge as a father or father figure has been eliminating or unlearning some of those limiting factors, right?
Mhm.
So, for me, that falls into the ideal of you know we all grow up, with in a certain or with a certain situation, right?
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we don't have to get too far into that, but the thought is, they say you're a product of your environment. You've
That's right.
probably heard that. You probably heard that thrown around once or twice before. But the thought is, I grew up in an environment where my father he was a loving man,
Mhm.
and he just had his own way of showing that.
Mhm.
He's a big burly man, strong, um, but also a man of very few little words. So when it comes down to it, the ideal of being able to communicate with my father, we've had our challenges. So that those items also present challenges within my relationship with my little guy, and or they
Mhm.
have presented challenge, and they still do come up here and there. But so the communication piece, for me as father, has been very challenging, something that I had to be intentional to
Mhm.
work towards and break, and understanding that those are some of the generational curses in which we are
Mhm.
looking to demolish, right?
Mhm.
And so with that, just being intentful to that is something that has been challenging for me. But I would say that we're doing a good job thus far. So
My hat goes off to you. I can see or hear the passion and the work that you have put in to becoming a better version of yourself. And I know for me, um, one of the greatest things I can do as a father, and I didn't have biological children, of course, as you all know. I raised children, but is apologizing. It is so powerful that your son can see you say, I'm sorry for that. You know, how important is it for us as fathers and father figures? And I'm saying that more importantly because statistics already show that sometimes it's not just about having a father in the home, it's about having that father figure or the step parent or the mentor. So that's why I keep emphasizing father figure, because when you're a father and you're a good father, a good dad, other people are going to look at you that don't have that luxury. But how important is it for us as men, as fathers, to have that method of apologizing, even to the son that could be 8, or the son that could be 10, or the son that could be 5? How important is that?
wow, that's a really great question. The thought of, I could come with two different ways. One is that shows the ownership that is taken for the action, or maybe lack of action in this case, um, that has taken place, right? So one, I believe it shows and it teaches ownership right?
Mhm.
So that's the first thing that comes to my mind. The second thing that comes to my mind is also understanding that it's not going to be perfect, and that's okay. So the ownership and understanding that it's not going to be perfect, and that we are going to make mistakes, and that we can, in return, own that, own that responsibility, own that mistake. I believe it sets a tone for how we are able to transition into the rest of this world. Because ultimately, if I am in a position thinking that I cannot say I'm sorry, and I'm living with an expectation that everything has to be perfect,
Mhm.
and that can set a real a real fear, right? So, and that can in return be a limiting factor. So if you think about it, if you have someone who's very on the verge of not feeling as if they can't mess up, then chances are they're probably not going to extend themselves out as far as they probably could to reach their full potential, in the fear of messing up, and understanding that and not understanding that it is okay to mess up. So just the understanding, and then again just the responsibility of owning the action or whatever it might be in which you are apologizing for. I believe that in return, there's so twofold there. It's um it's very much a, man, it's a life skill.
Yeah.
It really is, because um I can't imagine, and maybe you, or maybe if you're listening, you probably can imagine, just being in a position that you can't say I'm sorry, and you're living in an environment that everything has to be perfect, and we just understand that that's not going to be the case. So it's very restricting. So knowing that there's freedom, and hey, I'm sorry, I believe gives us that freedom, right? Your ability to be able to say I'm sorry
Yeah.
gives
That's
us freedom.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Um, what advice would you give to a father that never had the guidance of a father? What advice would you give to him, that person right now that is struggling? Like, I didn't have my dad there. He was in prison, or I didn't have my dad there. He left when I was younger, and here I am with a son. What advice would you give to that father right now?
man. The first thing that comes to mind is the idea of going with your gut. The first thing that comes to mind, going with that natural instinct. And the thought there is, there is no playbook, there is no manual. Um, Growing up with a father or not growing up with a father, your natural instinct,
Mm-hmm.
chances are, is probably the direction in which you should be leaning into. So just understanding that you are you are here, you are dad, you are father, and there's a reason why you're in the position that you're in. You have a purpose, and that purpose is for you to lead this young young guy or young boy, young girl, and there is nobody better suited to do that than you, right? If you think about it, um, if if I am in a situation where I know my son or my daughter, in this case, my son,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a daughter, but for the viewers that are listening and listeners, um, there's a certain responsibility that we have, knowing that you are that interaction. You're probably the most influential interaction that little boy, little girl is going to have. So just understanding that, no matter you, if you have that guidance prior to or not from a father, um, you do have a purpose. And just be able to understand that and fall into that, and be able to receive that and just own it and take it. I believe that can't be taken away from you. So you're it's going to take some walking into, in order to in order to really just live that out.
Wow. You're an awesome host. You're an awesome host. You're hosting better than I am. Um,
Okay, just cut it out.
what I remember in my book, Father Knows Best, I told about a story of when I was in minor league baseball, and my dad had groomed me to play baseball, and I still sucked very bad at 8, and it was the last game of the year, and my team was like the last in the league, and we were bases loaded against the number one team, and my best friend happened to be on that team, and I was at bat. It was a 3-2 count, and I kept hitting foul balls to the left field line, and I hit the last one, and I heard my dad say, "Run!" So I ran around the bases real fast, and I came home and got an inside the park home run. Of course, won the game, and so that's a story that I told my kids. And so, what is one of those stories that you have one of your greatest achievements that you have told Bingham, or that you will be telling Bingham as he gets older, if you don't
And
mind sharing with us?
yeah, so that's a really great question. Um, the first thing that comes to my mind is something that he was able to witness, and we come back to this. So he was in the car, he was able to witness this, and we come back to this um, all the time because we don't know someone's situation,
Hmm.
and we're driving, we're driving on the road, and there's there's someone standing on the corner. There's a sign in hand. There's a bag was probably on the floor, and it read homeless, lost job.
Mm.
Um, any help is appreciated. So, you know, at that time, we stopped the car. We're at a light. The car was stopped. I unrolled the window, and I gave this gentleman a few dollars.
Wow.
And so, in doing so, you know, there goes the questions. Daddy, what's that gentleman? What was he asking for? What was he needing? Is he okay? And ultimately, it came to a point where I said, Bingham, this is, we don't know his situation, right? And in my head, and I'm sure most of us that are listening probably experienced this before,
Hmm.
where we've come to that situation before, and you know we may question their position and their situation and what they're experiencing at this time, but it's really not for us to be able to decide that. It's not for us to be able to to decide that. So I, in return, extended some grace to this gentleman and gave him a few dollars. So we come back to that incident quite often, and the thought of Bingham, telling his friends, "Hey, this is what my daddy did," you know. So that has stuck with us, and that's something that we would continue to share. So that's so
Wow.
that's that's a moment, that's a moment. It may not have been, and we've had moments, or I've had moments in my life that you know they're they've been some really profound moments.
Hmm.
Um, but to this point, relating to my 8-year-old and be able to get onto his level for him to understand,
Mm.
that is something that we currently have shared with him, and we currently come back to is we don't know everybody's situation.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm. Love it, love it, love it. That non-judgmental. I believe in the golden rule. Over these last couple of years, I've been privileged and blessed to be able to have a mentor that is in the world civility, and I've learned about just not just being in Dover or Sussex County or Delaware, but there are people who are so less fortunate than us, over the globe. And some instances, um, some problems are worldwide. It's not just with us. And I just love the fact that you're showing your son that, you know, that non-judgmental and how you can help. And so I applaud you again. We really need fathers like you. We're coming to a close, unfortunately. But what's next? Well, what inspired you to specifically um, specialize your coaching with men? What inspired you? I know you help everybody, but what inspired you to specialize with men?
Yeah. So for one, I am a man. I relate myself as a man. So therefore, there's a certain certain power and certainty that I can speak from, right? But it goes even deeper than that, Ira. So the 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 father wound, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
mentioned my father and my relationship with him, and understanding that he was a he had his own way of showing his love, right? And he really showed his love out of the sacrifice. He had that sacrificial love, and I mean that because he had six children, right? I'm one of six. You know, my mother spent a lot of time traveling back and forth from New Jersey to Delaware, New Jersey to Delaware for work. So there was a point where my dad was very much a almost 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 a single parent in the household. Now, um, with that, you know, and six kids, there's there's a certain level of sacrifice that my father was able to to show us, and he really didn't speak on it. He just showed it, right? So, and that was his way of of showing and expressing his love. And I mentioned earlier, he's a man of very few little words. So when it came down to it, you know, there's, and I mentioned like a father wound, you know, there's, and I say that in a manner that there was certain things that I wish I would have received as that young boy transitioning to be that young man.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, if we talk about it even further, you know, we're looking at, you know, maybe just the confirmation, hey, you have what it takes,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're ready to be a
Mm-hmm.
man, right? You're ready for that transition.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the way to just the validation, you know, throughout my time as a young boy. There are certain pieces that are missed when that communication isn't quite prevalent. And with that, that stayed with me, right? That stayed with me.
Mm-hmm.
Now I will tell you, to this day, you know, my father and I, we have a our communication continues to expand, and um, it's definitely in a manner that is quite different from when I was that young boy.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my direction has come from just what I've experienced, and what I still, you know, feel at times. And so if I can do anything to help fathers eliminate some of those limiting factors
Mm-hmm.
that we may have, whether we have labeled to ourselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether labels that have been given to us,
Yeah.
whether it's, you know, just things that have, you know, transpired, and you know, maybe we're in a position that's that we're not happy with, you know, who we are, and understanding that I want to be able to provide that much more for my family, for my children. And it all starts by changing you, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's really tough to you know, change the lives or mold the lives of those that we're leading, if we're not able, if we're not doing it for ourselves. So my program, my coaching, Own Your Day coaching, allows for just some of that to happen, right? So we were able to you know, come into a manner that we're able to renew the mind. So mindset is a very strong piece to what we do. And then there's rebuilding the body, because there's a certain level of care that needs to be
Mm-hmm.
taken, you know, through proper exercise and activity, through what we put into our bodies, through how we treat our bodies, and how we're able to recover and rest, right? And then there's the ideal of restoring priorities, right? And that's essentially like our purpose and why we are here, and being able to, again, just keep first things first.
Mm-hmm.
But ultimately, my program, Own Your Day Coaching, allows for us to be able to dive into those things, for us to be able to create some of those disciplines, right? For us to be able to establish those habits, to build and develop those routines, so that we're able to, in return, fall into our full potential as father, as men, as leaders.
Wow. Wow. I love it. I just love the whole philosophy, and I love the name Own Your Day. there's a lot of people who do not take ownership of their lives, and I've heard you say that twice, and I just think it's awesome. So, what's next for Mr. George Dobbins?
Wow. So what is next for me? Well, we are currently still building or growing our program, Own Your Day Coaching.
Hmm.
So that is really much really what's happening and what's on the forefront. So that is very time sensitive to us, so to me, and we're just putting a lot of time and energy developing that. And we have certain programs that we will be releasing that will be an extension of the Own Your Day coaching. So I don't want to say too much about that, but we have some things in the down the pipeline. But a lot of it is to really just foster Own Your Day coaching, because right at this point I've been coaching for just over 20 years now, since 2001, man. So I feel I'm really
Wow.
now I really uh,
Wow.
I've been coaching for the last 20 years, and being able to take my coaching to a manner that is um, that much more impactful, right? That's that much more life changing. That's what's that's what's next. Just making that transition.
So, I appreciate you coming on this morning. I really do. I think this was one of my best interviews, really focusing on fatherhood. Thank you so much. Bingham, I'm sure, is going to be blessed one day when he realizes how great of a father he has.
So
Um, let the people know how they can reach you that are listening to the broadcast this morning.
yeah, so if you're on Facebook, you can find us on Your Day Coaching. If you're on Instagram, on Your Day underscore coaching, um, and yeah, those are probably the two elements where we tend to get a lot of our feedback, and where you can definitely find us. So Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. So again, you have listened to the amazing Mr. George Dobbins with Own Your Day Coaching and a full father and husband. And I think he is an awesome, awesome global leader. So thank you again for coming on this morning, Mr. Dobbins.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. And I appreciate the time and the energy for you to be able to get us together and do this.
Thank you so much. You have listened to the Dr. Ira Show again here on I Worship 96. Next week, we'll be here at 9 o'clock a.m. Don't forget, everyone, tomorrow will be Father's Day. Love on your father, give a father a card, do something special, just like it's Mother's Day. So we honor every man and every father that's holding it down and encouraging his son and being that leader, because they see you before they hear you. So again, we thank you for coming on the Dr. Ira Show again here on I Worship 96. We'll see you next week. Have a blessed day.